the Evangelical Christian Union. Let's make welcome Folutele Jabudu also. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. Blessing, back to you now.
Thank you very much for that. And that sort of pushes us into the session that we are going to be having tonight. It shows us that our speakers, our panelists are seasoned, they are industry leaders, and they have prepared tonight for us to share from their wealth of experience. And we are definitely thrilled to have them on board. Thank you, Mr. Folorunsho. Thank you, Mr. Folu, for honoring our invitation. And I hold it of high esteem to be interviewing you tonight. Thank you very much. So without further ado, let's just go right into the session. I will just ask for your opening thoughts around the conversation of pivoting into the year 2025. What are the things that we can look out for? Just an introductory comment, and then we'll start to ask specific questions. And I would also like to tell the audience that you can start to put your questions up to the admin, to the host of this session directly, so that the questions can be collated and we can take them all together. So you don't have to wait until the event is over or the session is over before you start to put up your questions. You can start to put them up right now. So if you came into the session with questions on your mind, and to be honest, they don't necessarily have to, do with something, very large. It could be something very personal to you around investing, around, whatever it is. You can just share your question with the host of the event, and then we'll collate those questions and ask our panelists after the panel session. So I'll go right to Mr. Folorunsho to share his opening thoughts around tonight's topic. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Blessing. May I ask a big favor?
All right, sir.
You allow FDI go first, please. It's a big favor.
All
Yes.
right. Let me allow FDI go first. FDI, please. Would you do us the honors of opening this session with your opening thoughts? Thank you very much.
All right, FLS is my guy. I cannot but say yes.
Thanks,
So again, thanks for the privilege. Thanks for having me. And again, I'm kind of really happy to be here. It's always good to be home in ECU. And talking about pivoting forward, two interesting words around pivoting and forward. Pivoting speaks about being dynamic, being responsive, getting feedback, taking stock, looking at 2024, but not necessarily just looking at 2024 in the sense of looking at 2024 is to look at your life story, where what has been working for you, what has not been working for you, and being able to have perspective across several issues. I know that we're talking about socio-economic strategies for 2025, but I would say let's think about it more in terms of 2025 plus. We're not just planning 1 year ahead, we're planning for generations. So 2025, it will be a blip in where God is taking you. So it's now not just 2025. When I chat with people, I go like, oh, should I do A or B? And I go like, tell me what you're looking at in 25 years' time. If you're looking at 2020, if you are looking at 25 years' time, what you should do next year is a bit clearer. But if you're simply just looking at solely 2025, then you are more likely to sort of be moving with the waves. The encouragement I've been sharing with folks more recently is really around keeping their eyes on various things. Even though I know that we're talking Nigeria, I'm aware, I've looked at the folks, and there are folks from all across the world on this call. So I won't be tailoring it just only to Nigeria. I really would be saying that whatever part of the world that you are in, and we're all global citizens and we really should be thinking globally, is that I would say that there are a couple of things for you to keep your eye on, but on a personal level. So a lot of our focus, a lot of the conversation will be speaking to Nigeria, because I think that's the vast majority of folks there. But I'll also say that in terms of I'll be speaking more on a personal basis, my thoughts on what we can do as people, because my sense is that not all of us are looking at, and we're not discussing economics from the sake of psychology or social scientists that just discuss it for the sake of, where do we think inflation will be? Is it 8.1%, 8.2%? No, I think the rate will fall or will rise. The question is, for us on a personal basis, for me on a personal basis, for my business, is that where am I going? How quickly can I get there? What are the resources I need to do there? What are the capabilities that we need to build? And I think that's a way to kind of just think about it, bearing in mind the various environments in which we sit and will stand. And my encouragement in sharing with my team is look at the skies, have big visions, have really, really big visions, have grand visions. But those take time to achieve. The way the Lord was speaking to Abraham and asking him that go step out of your tent, have something really big, have something really, really big, something that is wide, something that is huge, something that money cannot easily solve for you, because he had a lot of money, but he didn't have a son, he didn't have a hair, and we're like, okay, all right, but it needs to be something really big. And look at the skies, dream really, really big. Then look at your horizons. Like when when Abraham had the conflict with Lot, he kind of was looking, and he was being challenged. It was an immediate problem, pressing issues, but he was like, no, you can take a look at the east, north, south, west. Take a look at the lay of the land, just like Moses also, who had the privilege of going to look ahead into the future and see the promised land, even though he was not going there, but he was also looking ahead. Look at the horizons. Let's see the things that are shifting. Brajide brought up the issue of we see where the tax reforms are going, we see where interest rates are. Not that it matters a lot to all of us in the immediacy. We see what's been going on with the exchange rate, up and down, relatively stable. But we see the downward trend. Nobody knows whether it's a blip or not. But we see what's also going on in the West. We see all the dynamics of things going there. We'll get to that and we'll talk about. So I'll say keep your eyes on the skies, keep your eyes on the horizon. But and I also encourage it, make sure you're in the correct forest. So that your eyes are not in the weeds of day-to-day household. It's tidy, but make sure you're in the correct forest before you sort of just start addressing the trees. So being forest is about really being sure you're in the correct industries. You are focusing on the industries of the future, not the industries of the past. Whatever you are building yourself for, whatever you are preparing yourself for, you are really kind of looking out where the proper forest size should be, so that you are not preparing for the past, you are really preparing for the future. We know what AI has done. Automation has historically dealt with the blue-collar workers. Now, AI has come to deal with the white-collar workers. And we now need to understand, okay, what do we need to get ready? How should we get ready? How should we be leveraging it? What should we be thinking about it? So those would be my broad thoughts to start out with. But yeah, that I would say that I can develop that as we go by.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Can anyone hear me? I think my internet
Yes,
is...
I hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, sir. One thing I picked specifically from that opening thought is that, the plan or the pivot is not just for 2025, it's for 2025 plus. 2025 is just a subset of the total overall plan that God has for us. And then we need to have an idea of what the plan is, and then we can pick the plan for 2025 from that. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, sir. FLS.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. FDI, as usual, you're in the zone. and I'm glad to be sharing the same platform with you. Good evening or good morning, good day, everyone, wherever you are from. Okay, why I asked FDI to go before me is that I have a slightly different flow to this, and I was really, I was getting afraid that I may be throwing us in a way that most people will say, oh, they've started again. But it's something I really feel very strongly in my heart. If for those of you who may know a bit about me, I sort of stopped talking, stopped giving talks would I say about a year or two ago, because I've been undergoing some things and I feel my life should reflect whatever you are saying to people. You shouldn't just be talking. Your life will reflect it. And God has been so good to me that whatever it is I say now, I know it works. So I will talk about the economy. We'll talk about how it worked for you personally and all that. We'll go into that during the panel discussion. And that is very key. But tonight, I don't want to talk like a motivational speaker. No, I want to say what is from my heart to everyone who is here. And, the thing that kept coming to my heart is Isaiah 30, the entire Isaiah 30. Is very scary, but it's also full of hope. And that will be the fulcrum of everything I'll be talking about tonight. Why we're talking about the specifics as how it affects you and all that. But I want to undergird everything I'm saying by the following. Number one, Isaiah 31 says, woe to the obstinate children, declares the Lord, to those who carry out plans that are not mine, forming an alliance, but not by my spirit, heaping sin upon sin, who go down to Egypt without consulting me, who look for help to Pharaoh, to Pharaoh's protection, to Egypt's shade for refuge. But Pharaoh's protection will be your shame, will be to your shame. Egypt's shade will bring you disgrace. Though they have official in Zoan and their envoys, they have arrived in Hanes, everyone will be put to shame because of a people useless to them, who bring neither help nor advantage, but only shame and disgrace. But it didn't stop there. If you go to 15, 15 says, this is what the sovereign Lord, the Holy One of Israel says, in repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust or confidence is your strength. The latter part says, but you will not. That will not be our case. Finally, this is the baseline for everything we'll be talking about, or I will be talking about, why we're talking about the specifics. Is 21. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind saying, this is the way, walk you or walk ye in it. Everything I'll be talking tonight will be about that. To say, they used a phrase that is very encompassing. It says, make sure you're in the right forest. You can't be in the right forest when you have no leader leading you. You can think you are, but the only certainty comes from there. And because I'm speaking with my brothers and sisters, this is very key to me, that the only thing or the only difference between us and the people of the world is the fact that we have the Spirit of God. That's all. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how great you are. It's not about how much money you have. The whole world now is talking about making more money. The whole world is talking about, how to make money, how to be rich, how to get ready. But I think that is looking at being in the wrong forest. If that is the reason we're having this, but I believe it's not. There's nothing as beautiful as when the Lord says to you, like he said to Isaac, don't go to Egypt, stay in this land. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that is what it is. When he says, don't go out, stay in this land. And Isaac looked around him and everything was just pure dryness. And in that same land, Isaac dug, not one, not two. He kept digging until he got to a state where there was no more strife and he prospered. The same God told people to leave, right? And they prospered. So it's not about whether you stay or go. It's been in the right forest. And the right forest would only, God told Abraham to leave his father's place to go to a land he will show him. He didn't tell him to stay. He told him to leave. The same God that, don't forget that everybody thinks God told Abraham first. No, but it wasn't Abraham that was the first to leave. It was his grandfather that left. They got to Haran and the father decided to stay when God said go, and he died. And then God started a new chapter in Abraham's life in Genesis 12. And he started with saying now. So for me, whatever I would say here around the economics, about the questions, by the way, don't be afraid. We will talk specifics, we'll talk numbers, we'll talk all the general stuff. But at the end of it all, for me, and like I said, I can give examples in my life because I see that this works. When God gives you things that everybody is just, struggling for, but he tells you, relax, I've got you. Everybody thinks you are foolish, you are stupid. Even you think you are stupid because it doesn't make sense. And then it comes from ways you could never have imagined. And it gives you things like your Bible will say, Ogbo go for lebi. And it does things that even you could not have imagined, but does not mean you'll be lazy. So we'll talk about the non-laziness. We'll talk about where you need to do and what you need to be working on. We'll talk about that. But underneath it all, if you're not taking anything from what I'll be saying tonight, remember the greatest weapon of all time, the Spirit of the living God. We need to listen to him, that when he shows us and says, this is the way, you are more than ready to walk. When there is direction, speed makes sense. When there's no direction, speed leads to destruction, because there's a way that seems right to a man, which leads to destruction. Thank you.
Wow, that is such an amazing way to commence tonight's session. I mean, it's mind-blowing. In quietness and strength in quietness and rest is our strength. And for me, I believe that what FLS has just shared, it gives us perspective, because in everything that we are discussing tonight, we must be conscious of the fact that we are believers and we are carriers of the very Spirit of God. So no matter what the economic, global trends or whatever it is happening, what separates us and what determines the outcomes that we're going to experience in our lives is actually the Spirit of God that resides on our inside. Wow. That is amazing. Thank you so much, sir, for that opening remark. And then my first question tonight would be for us to just quickly do a little dive into 2024, because I believe that if we are trying to look forward, there are insights and lessons from the past that we can take on as stepping stones to begin to look forward into. So my question is, what are the specific highlights that happened in 2024 in your personal life, in your business, in your career, that sort of shapes your perspective into how you're looking at 2025? And, that's just, it's a broad question. You can share personally, you can share from an economic perspective, you can share from a business perspective. I just want us to sort of take a little backward drive to look at what 2024 looks like and sort of take insights from there into our conversation in 2025. So I'll start with you, FDI, sir. What are the insights that you gained from 2024 that is shaping how you're looking at 2025?
So again, I'm echoing my brother FLS, and about the leadership of God in whatever you are doing is critical and essential. He talked about Isaac following instruction. I kind of have it there. The extension I have to it about him digging wells, I kind of have in my notes. But on a personal note is that, yeah, you can take a look at Nigeria and say, so I said I'll focus a bit on Nigeria, is that our exchange rate moved as kind of people expected, up and down. It went up to 170, maybe somewhere early April, crashed down to, I can't remember, maybe 1,200 at some point in time. Then went back up, stayed up, came down again. The question is, how do you plan in such uncertainty? But what helps you through it all is instruction. Now, so on a personal notice, it's really down to instruction. But one of the things that also helped me shape this year is that the Israelites were in the land of milk and honey. But if you read somewhere in Deuteronomy, it says that, okay, this is how you should address people who are poor in the land. Meaning that the land has milk and honey, but there are still people who are poor. But that means depending on how you engage with God is what might end up shaping your own personal circumstance. You give an example of the woman that the Elisha's servant, one of the guys who worked with him, he died in death. But the woman was like, okay, I'm in this situation. I can't go on like this. Give me ideas, man of God. And between the miracle and the instruction, the part she did, the part God did, she ended up no longer living in poverty, meaning that the grace and the anointing was there. But it was really up to her to sort of just say, what do we do? So again, this year, personally in my business, we've had tremendous impact. We've had tremendous growth. We've had the upsets along the way. We've had the challenges along the way. But the Lord showed up for us every time. And a lot of time it came from instruction. It came from detailed analysis. And we as Christians is being able to, there is the part that we need to do. There is the part that God needs to do. There is the resources he has put around us in terms of people, internet, friends, advice. And we just need to be able to tap into all of that. But for me, is that looking at the economy is, and one last thing I sort of just point out is, I'm already beginning to read all the economic outlooks for 2025. But then something I do that is funny sometimes, occasionally, is that I read the 2024 and see how many people predicted what will happen in 2024 and did it match. And a lot of times, sometimes, but more often than not, people just try their best. So really, the one who holds tomorrow, we should read it, and I strongly recommend it. I strongly recommend it, but read it knowing that both of us, none of us has been in 2025, but to come back and say this is what happened. So it's essential that you read it, but you're not reading it for the predictive, but really just to understand how people are thinking about it. So again, we read it, we read it annually, but on a personal level, on a personal level is what is God telling you, because the land continues to be filled with milk and honey, but there will still be the poor in the land. But it's up to you to now choose how God is shaping your own personal, because I believe all of us are here for our own personal business, our families, and for ourselves personally, for our families and for our businesses.
Thank you, sir. I'll hand over to FLS to share his thoughts as well.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Like again, I'll keep referring to FDR. He's a man who is deep, and each time I learn a lot from him. But what I would like to say in addition to what he said is that for 2024, for me, it was a time of just being quiet. So I may have to go back to 2015 or 2014? So my 2024 was curated in 2016, actually. I woke up one day. Yeah, I woke up one day and my wife and a few good friends of mine are the ones that can tell you what I'm saying. I woke up one day and I had it very clearly in my spirit. Start saving. Now, before then, I was not a saver. I wasn't a saver because of my background. I trained my younger ones because I lost my father, when I was 13. So I grew up not keeping money. Even when I started working, I was always spending money, sending money home for my younger ones and my mom and all that. So I didn't grow up knowing how to keep money, even though I was not a waster. But that was very clear in my heart. Start saving. And then I spoke with my wife and I said, in fact, I can't say how much, but even the instruction as to how much to save was very clear. I told my wife, I need to start saving. But guess what? The first 2 months, I wasn't saving anything. And God is a merciful God. He came back to me and said, start saving. I don't know how many of you remember how much dollar was then. And it was very clear. Do not save in depreciating currency. Guess what? Dollar was still relatively stable then. Nothing was happening. I remember clearly, I was talking to even pastors and all that. I was saying the same thing I heard. Do not save in depreciating currency. Now, I didn't have money. And I said I didn't have money. I could eat, yeah, but I didn't have extra. But because the instruction was clear, I started saving in FX. And then when I started saving, I started noticing things that I wasn't paying attention to before, which is where the difference of knowing where you go and then what you need to do. You can't be a lazy person or sit back and say, God has told you. But first, there's a direction, and then you run. And I started paying attention to the flow of our currency. I became an expert on understanding the flow of FX. Even in my work, I could predict what was going to happen, not because I knew somewhere, but I started reading and I started paying attention to things I would not have. Blessed be God. I know our friends, in fact, some ex-ECU that are my very good friends will say, FLS, and you said this back then. Then it wasn't me. It's just now that God pointed me in the direction. It was easy for me to see. I would say that 2019, I became Group MD, and I was a bit relaxed because, I mean, to some extent, there were some things I needed to do, and God was directing me. 2024, no, 23, sorry, towards the end of 2023, I'd worked in a company for 25 years, the same company for 25 years. And I had it in my heart. I'd never written a letter of resignation in my life, never. Because I always found I was doing new things. But that was very clear. It was time for me to go. I wasn't feeling too well, health-wise. I had some health challenges, but I knew it was time for me to go. You know, the only resignation letter I've written, the day I wrote it in less than 5 minutes, and I submitted it. Guess what? I didn't have anything I was going to do. I didn't have anything, but I was at peace. So I retired. I didn't resign. I retired properly because I'd reached the age where I could retire properly. So I retired. And people were asking, what are you going to do? I was just laughing. Number one, I had so many things I knew I could do, but I didn't have direction as to what exactly to do. So early 2024, which is why when you said what happened in 2024, I just gave that background. So what happened in 2024? When the entire FX was blowing back and forth, sincerely, I wasn't bothered. Whether it went up or went down, I wasn't bothered. And that was when I looked back to 2016. I was like, oh, this is what you were telling me. Blessed be God. I had no clue until that. In fact, up until 2024, when somebody says, oh, dollar is too high, I want to sell, I will buy it. Even if I have 1,000 naira, I will buy it. But then when it went crazy times 3, I looked, I was like, wow, God, this is what you were telling me. I have a child abroad in university. Everybody was saying, oh, I even tried one time to pay school fees through federal government. They disappointed. Today, they've not even answered me. But I was able to pay my daughter's school fees without it. I don't even ask anybody. It was very clear to me, and it wasn't as if I knew anything. Then when I retired, I was like, okay, God, I'm not earning money now. What's going to happen? You know? And I was telling all my friends and joking and saying, guys, I've retired though. I was like, how old are you that you are retiring? I behave like an old man. Even my daughter was saying, Daddy, stop behaving like an old man beside me. Go and find something. But I got a job or two to do work for people who knew me. Like, I feel like you can't go, come and work for us. But I just told them, I wasn't ready. Somehow, I just knew I wasn't ready. And I was in Canada with my daughter when I got a call in August. And you know what? Come and work with Dangote. The truth, I didn't know anybody there. I did not, what do you call it? I didn't drop a CV there. But a friend who had heard me say this was talking to another friend who said, we need somebody. Like, which role? They said it was going to be one of the CIOs. Okay. When my friend told me, I said, you know what? Let's have a discussion. I don't mind. Sounds interesting. And when we had a discussion, I did interview 3 or 4 successive interviews very quickly. And it was all online because I was not around here. And he came back and said, oh, we're giving you the group CIO for all Dangote Enterprise, whatever it is. Now, I was like, that sounds even more interesting. So when I look back today, when I was dropping my retirement letter, the truth, I could not have told you that this is what I would be doing. No, I just knew that I was safe. I didn't know if you ask me, oh, FLS, predict it. What would you be doing? If I told you anything, I would have been lying to you. Yes, I knew that there's things I could do. I knew I wasn't under pressure to do stuff, but I could not have told you. But now I look back and I'm saying, Lord, I'd never thought of leaving this organization before. It's been my life, sort of. But when it was time to go, I wasn't struggling, you know? So again, I would say the FX rate, the petroleum wahala, the unrest in our political situation, when you look at all those things put together, you realize that if you have direction, again, borrowing the words of Dele, if you're in the right forest, the truth, you will grow. You would grow. So today I look back and I say, God, I will do this over and over again. I may not have known where you were taking me. Sometimes I felt, hey, FLS, you've not even you've not bought clothes, you've not done this, you've not done that. You are busy saving money. For what now? You know, it didn't make sense. Any dime I had, and thankfully my wife agreed with me, any dime I had, you know, you pay me salary once I pay my tithe and I take care of essential. The remaining was gone. I wasn't wearing, if you saw me then, I wasn't wearing Baba Riga or anything. I'm like, but you're MD now. Why are you? My car, I had an old car. Not because I could not have bought a new car. I had my staff who were buying new cars who were saying, I feel like you are disgracing us with your old car. But my car was moving and it had AC. And it wasn't breaking down just because it was old. Now, I look back and I'm like, wow. In Nigeria, whatever I saved is now ×4 because I started saving one was like 100 and something. Well, like, what am I saying? Almost ×10, whatever it is I saved. So my point is, I want to plead with everybody again and again. The only weapon you have, I'm not saying you're not smart. You do the work. Go and read, get to understand your environment. Again, I will talk about, as you ask questions, I'll talk about next year. So I'm not saying we should not talk about next year. But believe me, there's a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Lord, of the Most High God, gives you understanding. Lean on him. Believe me, there are things that you would not understand that he would do for you. And you're not supposed to struggle like the people of the world. Your struggle is a bit different, you know, and it may not make sense to everybody, but as long as you hear him and you walk in his ways, it makes sense in the long run. Thank you.
Let me add a comment to what FLS just talked about. And again, is what he's talked about is being able to, yes, we'll talk about 2025, but it's to be able to see that when God drops a vision in your heart, it's sometimes multi-generational, but it's typically multi-year. He will give you specific instructions for next year, but really it's also multi-year. Look at it. When God was speaking to Abraham, he was telling him, 25 years, I'm talking about he said you are talking about one child. I'm talking about descendants. And when God was instructing him in 2016 to say start saving, it's because he saw 2024. And similarly, I have the same story that, I was sharing with some bro Samson that came last year and was speaking. We had been talking since, I can't recall, 2014, 2012 was when we began to discuss some of these, and we began to discuss strategies. And, talking about saving, investing beyond countries, it's when you are making those decisions by instruction, it doesn't make sense to everybody around you. Bible talks about that the spirit of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And the problem with prophets, why they often look insane, is because they are standing, and this is where I want you to understand the problem with prophecy and the problem with prophets, is that they are standing in a world that is not what we are saying. So, for example, there's a prophet is standing in 2016, and he's saying exchange rate is 1,600 to $1, buy dollar. And everybody's looking at him and saying, no, this number has been stable at 360 or 180 for the last 10 years. It hasn't moved. Who is telling you that? And he's saying, no, I've seen it. And he's saying, no, but he is seeing it live. But where the rest of us are not seeing him, so he looks maybe mad. But it is when all of us now join him in 2024, but boy is smart. He was a brilliant guy, even though he was the spirit of prophecy. I've sat down among some of us, ECU alums, and we're sharing stories all across the world, and they go like, I knew you were smart. I go like, no, I wasn't smart. It was instruction. It was down to instruction. And you remember we had this conversation back then, and really it's down to instruction. So there are times in which I just feel the burden, go visit this person, talk to this person. And, before you know it, some really good things are coming out of it. And you go like, no, this guy is very strategic. That there is the core of strategy where you need the foundational knowledge. And we can't undermine that. You understand? It's not that we just sit down and just download revelation, but you need to be able to execute. And we'll still really talk about that execution. But really that the first thing, as FLS has said, it's for you to even get the direction in which you should be heading. You need that foundation of the Holy Spirit, where you are tying into that. What makes you Christian is being able to know which forest you should be, so that you are not cutting down trees in the wrong forest and you are now being stressed. It's first of all being able to just understand where should you be. For Abraham,
Yes.
it was traveling. For Isaac, it was staying in the same land.
Mm. Yes. Wow. 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 I'm sure you can see me and you can see how much, these insights have brought light to me. And that's the way I feel. I believe that what our panelists have shared tonight, even if we decide to close this session at this point, is valuable enough. The spirit of God, of Jesus, is the spirit of prophecy. And like FLS said, you can actually shape the next 5, 10 years by the spirit of prophecy, by the direction of the spirit, because it all boils down to direction. We have the spirit of God in us. We are sons of God. We are not regular human beings. And so the only thing that actually shapes our experiences, the only thing that shapes what we actually, experience in life is the spirit of God, is the direction of the spirit. And it's just mind-blowing, the direction that this conversation is taking. And I'm super, super pumped to take it on to the next level. So I'll direct my question to FDI this time. While you were speaking earlier, you spoke about us being global citizens and how, it's not just about what is happening in Nigeria, right? What is happening in Nigeria is actually a subset of what is happening globally, right? So my question is, how can we start to position ourselves for global opportunities in 2025? What are those things that we can expect in the global scene, and how can we start to, shift our actions, our activities in the direction of all the opportunities that are coming as a result of that?
Okay, my thoughts on that is that it depends. We've established the role of God, but also it depends on the stage and age that you are in. If you are straight out of school, I saw some people who graduated last year. I would say that lean into enhancing your skills. What got you out of school often sometimes is inadequate, because in my business, I've had the privilege to sort of work with various people, and I rarely ever remember what they studied in school, because really at the heart of the day, we're looking to solve a problem. The question is, can you solve the problem? Joseph was hired straight out of prison because he could solve a problem. And I want you to kind of look at it that way. A lot of hirings is down to, can you solve a problem? Certificates certify that you can solve a problem, but you now need to prove on the job that you really can solve the problem, because it's really down to, do you have the skill set as global citizens? Straight out of school, early career, it's about skills certifications. But all along the way, build relationships. That would be my encouragement. Build relationships, and build relationships in terms of engage with people, so that because as you move towards mid-career, late career, it's the people that you've met along the way that will place the phone call to you. I want you to appreciate something that FLS mentioned. He said that for the job that he's doing right now, somebody called him. Underline the word called. One, they had his phone number. Two, he had conversations or relationships or stories had been said about him in some rooms prior to that point that felt he's worthy of being called. That even before they did any interview, somebody called him. The question is, straight out of when you're leaving school, you begin to establish a reputation and actively invest in it to say, what kind of relationships am I building? What kind of reputation am I establishing? Because it matters. That for you to be able to share the kind of testimonies that FLS is sharing, saying somebody called him, is that one, they have your number. Two, you establish the reputation typically based on your skills. And I'll give you an example from Bible is that somebody called Joseph because he was competent, he was skilled, he had the experience. Irrespective of his current situation, wherever he was in the world, they called him. No, he wasn't on GSM, I guess it was physical calling, but yeah. But they called him. And it's critical for you to begin to build that. So I'll take your greatest positioning is skills. Your greatest positioning is around skills. Your greatest positioning is around skills. Your greatest positioning is around certifications, is around knowledge. If you are in the early career, but all along, it's your relationships that you need to begin to establish really earlier on.
All right, thank you so much, sir. You first and foremost, the first question is, can you solve problems? Everything that we are going to become or we are going to step into in the world that we are in and in the world that we are stepping into it lies in our ability to solve problems. And all the examples that he shared, Joseph, Daniel, these are guys that were able to solve problems by the Spirit of God, of course. So it's important that we can answer that question of, can you solve problems? Number two is to build relationships and, develop your skills and also ensure that people around you, they understand the skills that you have and what you're capable of doing, so that when opportunities come, those opportunities can be, tailored in your direction. Thank you so much, sir, for that. All right, my next question will go to you, FLS, sir, about the Nigerian landscape
No,
specifically
wait,
now.
hold on. I think FLS is writing something. Do you want to just hold on, let him sort of rest?
Okay.
I think he wants to respond. Let's just give him some time.
Okay. So, do you want to share something on what we've
Sorry,
spoken about, sir?
I'm trying to share something. Sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to share a whiteboard with you. I don't know if anybody can see my whiteboard.
Yeah, yes, we can
Yes,
see
we
it.
can see it. We
All
can
right.
see it.
So I just want to quickly explain this.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so this is what you call the 5 levels of money. I would oh, sorry. Sorry. This pyramid, if you all can see my writing, this pyramid is not complete yet. I'll draw the remaining, but you get the point. This pyramid is what you call the 5 levels of money. And I'm just trying to pivot on what FDI was saying. Whether you are out of school or you are 57, 90 years old, this pyramid speaks a lot to me and to people I've come across. When you first leave school, like Folu said, we all think money is just cash or currency. No, it's more than that. The Bible says that money answers all things. The Bible doesn't lie. When it says money answers all things, it means money truly answers all things. The difference is, what is money to you? When we say money, we always assume money is cash. And that leads us in the right direction again. being in the wrong forest. If you're in the right forest, then you define that one, the Bible is always correct. So money is anything that is generally acceptable as a means of exchange for goods and service. Note, acceptable. But more importantly, is also as a means of store of wealth or asset. Now, when we leave school, please go after money. When we say God wants us to be rich, I'm not talking about God wants to have just cash in your pocket, which is where we all stop. But that is the lowest form of money in the world. Above cash you have in your pocket, and the reason cash is the lowest form of money is that when I give you $1 million today, it does not grow on its own. If I take $1 out of it, it's no longer a million. And that's why people we put as our leaders, in quote, always struggle, because their understanding of money is just cash or currency. But above that is competence, which is what FDI said. A man who does not have cash in his pocket will grow more cash when he has competence. So when you are out of school, instead of trying to say, I want to make cash, can we go for competence? Now, the word competence is made up of 3 key things. Sorry, I'll try and write up very quickly. It's made up of knowledge, skills, and ability. What is knowledge? Knowledge is what you know that gives you an edge. If everybody knows that pure water is sold for 1 naira, and you know the same thing, that's not exactly knowledge, that's just some fact. But knowledge is what you know that gives an edge. If you come to Lagos and everybody in Lagos does not know that yam chips is easy to make, and you don't see any yam chips because you know it and you make yam chips, you make the cash. But why? Because there's information asymmetry, which is knowledge, what you know that gives you an edge. The second one is a skill. Skill is now the specific thing you can do with your hands. I've seen a lot of people who say, oh, I help me with this, help me that. But what can you do? There's not. But those things take time. You must spend time to get those things. So it will be okay in the end, but there is a crucible period. Nobody wants to go through the crucible period. But whether you like it or not, whether you go through the hardware or the software, you will go through it. And then the last one is ability. Ability is what you can do that you are not just only known for, but you can do with your eyes closed. If I ask FDI to please help me write a proposal right now, he won't think about it twice. Why? He has the ability to do it because he's done it over and over, and he's able to jazz and razz things up. But it takes you to build. Most people who have just left school are between this base currency and the competence level. But above competence is character. We all think character is behaving nicely. No. Character is the ability and the willingness to do that which needs to be done. Which means that if everybody is busy trying to buy a car today, and you know that, you know what, I need to acquire a particular skill that nobody is doing right now, but it's going to position me, and you are able to bridle your appetite enough to do it when everybody is enjoying today. When everybody is moving towards Lekki, you are still living in, I don't know, give me a name of a place that is far. You know, and everybody makes fun of it. But this guy is earning so much money. How come he's living like a fool? But you have the character to wait and stay the course because you know for certain you are going somewhere. A lot of us lack character even as Christian. We get carried away by what everybody is doing. Now, whether you are 2 years old out of school or 15 years old out of school, that is extremely important. Next year, what is your character going to be? Because character leads to consistency and leads to reliability. And it leads to people being able to vouch for you. And that's what takes me to the next one, which is above this character. It's called credible relationships. Folu also talked about it. What credible relationships are you building? I'm going to talk about credible relationship. I'm talking about, I know Uncle, well done, sir. Good morning, sir. No, that's not credible relationship. Credible relationship is when people can vouch for you because of your character and your competence. When you are going to say, no. If we are 5 people, I vouch for this guy. And I tell you, credible relationship gives you things that cash can never give you. When there's an opening and somebody says, you know what, this opening is going to be carrying billions of dollars. You know what, I trust this guy. He's the only one I can trust. And everybody says, yeah, we trust him. Now, that's not something that you would ever have done on your own. But because the right people, you've developed credible relationship with them. And what that means is that I keep telling people, especially for those who have just finished university, people who are rich do not want to owe anybody. They don't even want to owe you anything. So if you have a rich man close to you or somebody who has character around you, go and wash his car in the morning when he's not asked you to wash his car. And when he wants to pay you, you say, no, don't worry, sir. is going to pay you with something cash can never pay. And you don't do it once and run away, or you get someone like your mentor, you get him a small gift. I'm not saying break the bank, something that is meaningful. He doesn't want to owe you, so it would overpay you. It's a simple trick. Try it on your mentor, try it on somebody you respect. That is, people who are comfortable do not want to owe people. And one of the ways to have credible relationships is to do things for them that they've not asked you, things that they need or love, but nobody gives them because everybody thinks they are self-sufficient. But above all, which is higher than credible relationship, is for you to have credibility. Credibility is, when you talk about credit card, it's come from the word, is from word credible. When you are credible, what everybody is paying cash of 1 billion for, you'll get it on a platter. And you wonder. Now, this applies to you whether you are a first-year graduate or you are a 50-year-old graduate. Whichever the case, please don't just stay at the level of currency of cash. The highest form of money is credibility. When you need things done and everybody will try and kill themselves just to do it for you, that is credibility. And you won't have to pay a dime when everybody's, for example, you have senators in Nigeria who go and queue at the embassy because they don't have credibility. Meanwhile, in a country like the US, somebody can even be a drug addict. They will give him a visa to enter. I'm sorry, no visa. He will enter the UK without visa. Meanwhile, the best of our best here will go and queue at the embassy. Why? Because as a nation, we lost credibility. We need to bring back credibility. It's the highest form of money anywhere in the world. And as a Christian, that's the highest form of money you have. And you need to build it up. People may not appreciate it now, but when it matters, take it from me. It works. Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to I don't know if anybody heard me.
No, we heard you.
Yes, we
Thank you
heard
very
you
much.
very
Thank you very
clearly.
much.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, FDI, for calling my attention to, because I would probably have missed this if we didn't come to really hear what you wanted to share. Thank you so much, sir. Character is not about acting nice or acting nicely. Character is the ability and the willingness to do that which needs to be done. You need to take that on because you need to be able to build a character for 2025. Let everyone know you, that this is who you are. This is the consistency that you have built. And it's important that we take that on and use it to create, the actions and the next steps that we're going to be taking in the year. Thank you so much, sir. So my question now will be talking mainly around Nigeria. And there's been so many economic outlook documents that have been released. The IMF have released theirs. So many other, companies have released theirs. And there's still a lot of prediction about what inflation will look like in 2025. So my question is, as SMEs, we have a lot of people on this call that are growing, SMEs coming up and just trying to build a global business. What can we do as SMEs to sort of protect our businesses against the rising inflation? And beyond just SMEs, even for us as individuals, what can we do to, create a level of business flow or a level of lifestyle that edges us from the growing inflation or the instability in the economy in 2025? I'll direct that question to FLS first, and then FDI can contribute after. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Blessing you in the spirit. Thank you. Okay. The first thing I like to say is that for next year, what I would say is learn. We need to focus a lot on learning. I'll be very blunt as I can possibly be to everyone. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Okay. I'll be as blunt as I can possibly be.
Yes, we can.
There's no magic happening next year. That's the truth. If you look at all the indices, there's no magic happening next year. Your GDP is not going to grow higher. See, one thing about GDP is if your GDP is not growing higher or faster, than your population growth rate, at best, you are just trying. There's no proper growth. There's no proper growth. So, and there's no way, if you look at the average birth rate now, Even if you start growing at 6%, we are still trying. We're just trying. You will feel it a bit, but you are just trying. There's no real growth. For those who do economics, you have nominal growth and you have real growth. The same thing, people will try to increase salary next year, but two things will happen, right? Our inflation rate, thankfully, has dropped by a few basis points. I think we're 33.1%, if I'm not wrong now. Think about it. So bottom line is, next year, there is not going to be a lot that will change by way of the economic drivers that we have. But what is within your control, and that's what I would like to focus on, is one, be a bit more creative in the way you spend money. Be a bit more creative in the way you spend money. Number one, do not save in depreciating currency. And can I be very frank with you? Depreciating currency does not mean dollar. So don't get me wrong at all. Always place your eyes on which currency is flowing which direction and then save in that direction. Number two, diversify your risk base. I'm not saying portfolio, risk base. So that means for me, the greatest answer will be everybody next year needs to be a risk manager. Don't just do things anyhow. Scan the environment for risks. Some of those risks may be latent risk. I can tell you a few latent risks right now. You know, one, the US is going to focus a lot on US next year. So a lot of things are, the world will be left in a bit of, what do you call it? I won't say topsy-turvy, like almost a bit directionless for next year, early next year. Mid to late, things may shape a bit, but because the president-to-be of the US can be a bit of an unpredictable person, right? The world, you don't be surprised if by next year, a lot of Nigerians are deported. Don't be shocked. I'm not saying it will happen, but don't be shocked if it happens next year. And by the way, once the US takes that stand, guaranteed, Europe will follow. I mean, it doesn't sound like that right now. Europe is going to follow. Don't forget, Canada, that used to be the land of the friendly, is already taking a posture around that. So for those who want to jackpot, I'm not saying you should not, but do it well. Because I foresee if Trump does what he wants to do, a lot of people are going to come back, and not in a very good way. You know? So, question, what solution can you be presenting, can you be getting ready for returnees, for example? Believe me, there's a business there. Their returnees, to make their return a bit better, what kind of business can you think of for them? For those who are in the everyday grind, Folu said something about AI. Please read about agents for AI. Read about, for those who are in tech, for example, read about how to build AI. It's a new world for next year where you can become a millionaire, billionaire, because nobody is doing it in this environment yet as it should be. And you know something with Nigeria, once you start something, people get on top of it, it blows. Right now, people are not building agents yet, or not as they should, let me put it that way. Right? We just hear AI, AI, AI. AI is become a buzzword, but there's a lot more to it. There are more tangible things that we should be looking at. Number one is, how does agency work for you? There are so many use case scenarios for AI that businesses do not even know they need now. But I guarantee you spend 30 hours on YouTube just looking at AI. I guarantee you come up with a business that is not going to take you a lot of money, but the business environment needs. Don't just go for the general buzzword. Oh, AI. I'm talking of go deep down. The problem is that when we skim problems, we stay at the surface where 90% of the people stay. Go below the iceberg. That's where the real juice is. I've given you one on the table right now. If you want to start a business next year, if you're a tech person, just go deep down into AI. Be beyond the buzzwords. There are businesses sitting there, right? Next year as well, what I would say is I'll talk a bit more around agriculture, right? Now, because of the way things are going, I would say if you want to do agriculture, please do not start at the lowest part of the chain. Start at the value add. For example, can you go into exporting? Can you go into packaging? I'll give you an example. I met a young man in Lagos when I just got back to Lagos. And guess what? For the first time, I saw somebody doing yam chips, dried yam chips like you have plantain chips. I've never seen that in this Nigeria before, never. I personally told the guy, I will support you. Everywhere I go, I talk about the guy. He was doing something unique. Where everybody says it's not working. The guy came from abroad, though, and he's selling everywhere. Now he's even exporting to Canada. He started this year. My point is, please go into the things that people take for granted. Stop when we finish university, all of us want to do white collar job and just rise to be MD and all that. I'm not saying you should not be, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying, can you define where your direction is and go for it with, next year, if you are going to wait, if you are looking up to government to make changes, it may be a bit disappointing. That's where I'm going in a nutshell. But again, there is still a well in the land in terms of what is possible on your level. One, diversify your risk or mitigate, look for risk mitigators. Sit back and do the work of what are the risks I am in. I'm just finishing school. Is there a job? Are there no jobs? Okay, while I'm looking for a job, what are the things I can begin to build? Who are the people I can begin to work with? I'm not going to ask them for cash. Because once you ask people for cash in this country right now, they will run away from you. And it's not their fault because they are also trying to manage the insufficient cash. But you know what? While you are, I think it was Paul that said, I've learned to abase, right? And I've also learned to abound. The reality is that nobody, even Christ, never promised us that we'll never go through tough time. So take away from your mind that things will not be tough. But what happens is that when the huffing and puffing is done, who is standing? So I'm against the gospel of, when you believe in God, nothing bad will happen to you, or no hard time will come. In fact, we were promised hard time. We were promised hard time. But the issue is that during those hard times, who is holding your hand? Who is the fourth man in the fire? Because when you have that fourth man in the fire, the comfort you get from it is what keeps you going. And once you go through it, you come out finer, you come out refined at the end, and people don't even know what you have. Meanwhile, some people that you think were doing okay and doing well, when the whole thing is down, when the chips are down, realize that there was really nothing. So my point is, next year, you need creativity, and it comes from above. The Bible says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask. God gives, he gives generously. He does not even reproach you for it. It does not it doesn't break, what's it called now? It does not upbraid you. That's the word for it. Number two, be a risk manager. Don't just jump into anything. Everybody's doing it, just do it. No, count the risk. People are going to lose money. Number three, there are latent opportunities I see everywhere. Again, I talk about AI because it's a buzzword and people spend money on buzzwords. But those who get the money from buzzwords are not those who are just looking at it, but those who go deeper. I guarantee you again, spend 24 hours on YouTube or 30 hours on YouTube, going deeper and deeper into this AI, you will come up with use cases. And by the way, you don't even have to be a tech person. It's just use case you need. Assemble tech people and you build stuff. Lastly, I talked about people are likely going to come back home, right? No, wait, second to the last. People are likely going to come back home. Can you position yourself? And then the very last one is, look at the value chain of our Greek for next year. Things are going to happen. I guarantee you. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Before I pass a comment, I would like FDI to just add this comment on that, and then I'll sum it up. Thank you.
So again, sort of following on from what FLS has started is that a lot of people stay at the surface, and a lot of people, when they come up, they are solving problems people have solved. The analogy of that is that if you enter into a dark room, the expert is the one that knows where the switch is before the light comes on. Now, once the light comes on, it's easy to tell everybody, oh, this is where the switch is. It's easy to flip switches when the light is already on. By that time, the ship has sailed. It's that digging deep, doing the hard work, studying really hard. Studying really hard, really finding deep insight about, and he hinted that he used the phrase about wells. I want you to think about wells for what they are. And if you grew up like me, that we didn't have water, we didn't have running water, so we had to go to another house. But I visited the area 30 years after. That well is still providing water, but somebody had to dig the well. Somebody had to find, and there are a lot of dry wells all over, but it takes insight, studies, and a lot of work to find a well that continues to pump cash long after. A well is fascinating in terms of long after you've dug the well just keeps giving water, maybe sometimes in perpetuity. Finding those opportunities, it takes time, it takes energy. Some wells may run up dry, but you need to look for the wells. Isaac dug wells. Some of them he just reopened the ones that his father did, but he dug his own. And digging takes time, it takes energy. But thereafter, once you happen on the well, you can begin to mine it into infinity. That's one. But that's really about the hard work that you need to do. You need to go, if not, you just jump from trend to trend to trend. I'm sure all of you guys know that 4 years ago it was crypto. All of us were crypto, well, to the roof, to the moon and back, all of it, all of our crypto bros, they were all out there. Now it's AI. Give us another 2, 3 years, people will jump on another thing, but calm down, stay where you are called, but dig deep, because it's that expertise, it's that credibility built over years. The other thing I would say specifically is that I would echo what FLS talked about, saving and investment. That's how wealth gets built over time. The miracle of Joseph was that he saved 20%. That was pretty much all he did in Egypt. Saved 20%. That was all he did. But he saved in an appreciating asset, grain, not cash. Grain, because by the time the famine struck, people who had cash gave it up, of course, not at the same price, to buy grain. That's by the time they were done exhausting all their cash, it was like, okay, you don't have cash, bring your land. By the time they were done with the famine, the Bible says that it was only the king and the priest who was entitled to allocation from the federal coffers that owned land. Everybody else, their land essentially, because the king, aka Joseph, was saving in the proper currency, grain. And the funny thing about this data is that when Joseph shared that revelation of 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine is coming, people were there. He didn't whisper it in the ear of the king. The data is available that is pointing to this thing. It was out there. In fact, even let's say he whispered it, by the time Joseph started building houses and saving, what prevented anybody else from saying, wait, hold on, if I can give the government 20%, let me save 20% too? He would have kept them. But they basically looked at it, and FLS has given a lot of brilliant ideas. I'll add a couple more to it, is that a lot of people have moved to various parts of the world, and it mentioned that yam chips are being exported. The interesting thing is that for all of those people abroad, they can pay you dollars to keep on eating Nigerian food. If you can export it to them, you just need to get it to them. We're Nigerians. We don't stop eating our pepper. We like our pepper that way. Get it to them. You get, and then you'll be paid in dollars. A friend of mine was joking about it. Gala that we sell on the street for 300 or 400 is sold £4 in the UK. £4. I don't know the exchange rate. But maybe that's like 8,000 naira or something like that. But that's it. But it's the same gala, same gala. But again, it's being able to think globally, to be able to say, how can I sit in Nigeria and still earn these dollars? How can I begin to think deeply? You are thinking deeply because it's a lot of work to think. As in it burns energy to think. And as you are thinking, you are praying. But it's a lot, but that is the hard work very many of us don't like. But it's to be able to think, what resources do I have in my hand? What capabilities do I have? What competence do I have? Who is on my phone book? And being able to, by the Spirit of God, put everything together to be able to say, how can I create value? I'll leave it at that for now.
Amazing. Thank you so much, sir. I mean, that was exclusive. One thing that I'm taking away from this particular question is that the solution that we are going to offer our world in 2025 and beyond is in our digging deep. Nothing valuable is on the surface, right? Everybody stays on the surface. So if we are going to be valuable to our world, if we are going to offer value and actually get wealth in exchange for the value that we're giving, we must dig deep. We must do the hard work of digging deep and getting everything that we need to. Thank you so much, sirs. I'm going to ask two more questions, and I'm going to now go over to our audience to ask their questions. Please, if you have any question at all, please drop it in the comment section and it will be collated. We are almost running out of time already, so please go ahead and start to drop your questions. My next question, I know you started to touch on AI, but I also wanted to talk more around technology as a whole, right? Beyond AI, what can how can businesses start to leverage technology heavily? Because even from the economic outlook reports, we can see that, technology is going to be a major driver in our growth in 2025. So how can businesses start to really leverage technology? If you're, running a business in Nigeria now, it's not going to be business as usual in 2025. How can we start to leverage technology? I'll direct that to you, FDI.
Okay, so in terms of technology, technology is not never really technology for the sake of technology. It's about productivity enhancement. So first is this: if all you are doing is you are just manufacturing pure water, there is no AI for pure water in AI. Don't just follow the buzz. Now, can you use AI for your customer care such that anybody who wants to place order, I assume you have a website, anybody who wants to place orders can place at any time of the day or night, and you don't need to dedicate one hapless intern to be responding to messages at 2 a.m. in the morning. That makes sense. Where the person chatting with him, the person says, "What's up?" The person responds, "I'm your guy." But it's an engine. That's really how to think about technology, that it needs to enhance productivity. We just don't buy tech for the sake of tech. If your primary customers are bus conductors, you shouldn't probably have a large Zoom subscription because they are not going to jump on the Zoom call with you. You just understand that. Understand your own business. Understand your uniqueness. Understand your customers. Find what you want to be better at. Does technology help you? If it does, adopt it. There's the distrust of technology historically. It's always, whenever there's a new move, generally there are those who will resist it for valid reasons. Because of technologies usually are premature, but it's for you to understand what is your role. I remember, I point to crypto. I remember speaking with people back then. I said cryptocurrency might move on. Apologies to those who are strong believers on it. I said cryptocurrency might move on, but blockchain is here to stay. And blockchain is being used for some really, really powerful solutions, as in being able to trace from cradle to grave things like art or pharmacy or drugs. There's a role for it. AI, there's a role for it. Automation, there's a role for it. But make sure it is your business, like the business that we sell. There are some people who reach out to us and want to use our product and say it's not for you because it won't enhance your productivity. In fact, it will slow you down at a particular size. Beyond the size, it will enhance you. But below a size, it won't. So you just don't adopt tech for the sake of tech. You have a business to run your business. If there is productivity, and technology is to enhance your productivity. If it's not enhancing it, junk, it doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, we run these businesses and we need to run it knowing that even these businesses belong to God. And we're answerable to God at the end of the day. We are only stewards of the resources He has put in our hands. We need to run it knowing that we will give our account to God. God will help us.
Wow, that's amazing. Technology is not just for the sake of technology, it's about enhancing productivity. And every resource that God has given us we are just stewards. We will give account. And because of that, we must be, radical about enhancing productivity. That should be the goal. It's not just about following the crowd and just doing everything that everybody does. If it's not working for you, it's not working for you. There's no need to follow the crowd. Thank you so much, sir. I want to direct conversation now around career professionals and people that are really in the corporate world. How can we start to what are those skills that are going to be in demand in the next couple of years in the corporate world that career professionals need to start to pay very keen attention to for them to be able to, grow and provide value in the marketplace? I'll direct that question to FLS because I believe that he has the perfect answer for that question. So FLS, take it away, sir.
Thank you very much. I think it's the only skill, forgive me if I digress. We like buzzwords. That's what I think. Those really do whatever, are the ones that do the grunt work, are the ones that do what nobody wants to do. They're not ready to follow they're not, it's not about buzz for them. It's about looking and patting through see, from my studies, the real work or the real requirement has been the same technically from time immemorial. One is be a problem solver. Folu said that right now, when he's trying to, when he's trying to get people on board, hardly will he be thinking, you studied economics, but now you can do computing properly. Because of that, I will not take you. No, people just want their problem solved. Number two is to work hard. Nobody likes lazy people. Even you don't like lazy person. You don't mind being lazy, but nobody likes lazy people. Number three, people like those who think and make others feel good. I guarantee you, okay, maybe I'll add one more, working smart. Add those four together. It does not matter what you have studied, right? Did I say anything about creativity, right? Okay, let me add creativity to it. It will come into working smart as well, but creativity is looking for ways to do things in ways that, in ways that, look new. It may be the same thing, but like somebody is selling you yam chips and he packages in a different way. It's creativity. It's still yam that is there. So my point is, if you put those things together, I guarantee you, again, when I talk about guaranteeing, these are things I sometimes take my time to study. Right? Okay, now that is just general the soft skills. Let's talk about the hard skills now. I am more in tech, so I speak a bit more about tech. Okay, but let me shock you by saying, one, you need to know a bit of your finance. A lot of people don't know finance. I'm not saying you should be an accountant, please. I'm careful about my word. You need to know a bit about finance. What are the core guide? In fact, one of the things that pains me the most is a lot of engineers just go and study this, but then they become so good, but they become poorer. The better they are at their work, the poorer they get because they don't understand the principles of finance. So please try and study a bit of, I didn't say go and be an accountant because I'm not very good with numbers. You don't have to be a number cruncher to be to think financially well. Let me put it that way. Just a simple trick here and there, and you will think financial. For example, understand what your income statement is. Everybody has an income statement. Everybody. But some people don't even know they have an income statement. What has come in for you? What has gone out? What are the levers that take away money from you? Number two, see, this thing I'm saying is personal and official as well. So I'll give an example. I recruited someone before who, this was years back, 2009, was it? This lady came, we're looking for support engineers. It's actually in my book. We're looking for support engineers. We interviewed everybody. But normally when we finish the interview, we'll ask you, do you have any questions for us? Now, if you're looking for a job and somebody asks you, do you have any question for us? That's when you can either get the job or lose the job. You can come, if they ask you during the interview session, do you have any questions for us? That is when you can cover all the sins you've committed before or undo all the things you've done before, but never let the opportunity go. Anyway, example. So this lady came and she wasn't the best support engineer. We would not even have taken her. When we asked her, do you have any question? This lady seized it, and she was, apart from the main person that got the job, she got a job for a role we never advertised. She created that job like Joseph. And what did she say? She said, apologies, but this was 2009, that your company, I've done my research, and your company is very good when it comes to technology. But from 2 or 3 of your customers, I've heard them complaining about your project management. Then project management was PMI was still not a big deal. They complain about your delivery time and all that. I was wondering, is there something that I can do about it? Because I know how to ensure that things are done well. I know I can follow up with people to be sure that things are delivered. She went through the steps of what you expect a typical project manager to do. We told her to please excuse us. She didn't go before she got that job. Because we looked at our faces, each other's faces, and we said, did they send this girl to us? Because about a few days before, we were discussing about project management issues. She came, she nailed it, she got a job, in fact, before the guy the role we were looking for. Creativity, you look around the environment. That is never going to go out of fashion. Then, so let me now talk about the technology bit I was talking about, just digress. Technology bit I was talking about. Clear insight into data is going to be a major thing next year. People are looking for ways to either save cost or to increase their revenue. Just like FDI said, in Egypt back then, there was a lot of data staring at people in the faces, but they were not taking advantage. Now, people are saying we want to take advantage of data. If you are an IT person, right? For example, right now in my organization, I'm looking for data scientists. If you have one, you're not begging me, I'm looking for, data scientists, because business needs data right in there, actionable, intelligent, reasonable, and workable data. Because data is everywhere. It's when you now put it in a form where people can relate with. 2, the environment is going to be looking for people who understand business analysis properly. People are doing businesses. SMEs are doing businesses. But ask all of them, they just did it based on actions I can do, so I'm doing. But proper analysis of the process, proper analysis of, I talk about being a risk manager. It's one of the things. But you must even understand the value chain you are in. You must understand what value you are delivering. Business analysis is going to be a major thing next year that I see, but also positioning yourself. What else do I see? If you're in tech, again, cybersecurity. Because Nigeria is becoming more and more, if you notice, everything is now Nigeria. I know those boys in Eastern Bloc, those boys in whatever, it is where they say follow the money and follow the fame. It is where it is that they go. So big businesses that do not know they had problem before, if you are positioned, all of a sudden you are earning more money than every other person who has been working. Because when they need you and they come calling, they will pay you what you need. So if you're in tech, look into security. It doesn't have to even just be cyber. Look into security generally. Physical security, logical security, there is going to be, because people want to keep the small money they have. They don't want to throw it away. So security is going to be important. I talked about AI, but again, don't do AI just because everybody is buzzing. Look for specific use cases that you can build on, right? I can go on and on. The foundational networks and all those, so I see there, but not as, you must be an expert in there to even make, the kind of money you should be making. I talk about, yes. Now, I have some use cases and some solution I'm willing to share with anybody who is really interested in virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, or even digital twin. Anybody who is interested in that area, I can share you a business case there that I already have, that you want to make money, go and make it with it. It's one of the things I was thinking I'll do. So I can share that with you. But believe me, it's going to begin to take shape next year. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, FLS. FD, you want to share something about the
Again,
question?
yeah, I'll take off from what it was and I'll re-emphasize the cybersecurity. Now, a lot of us have been hearing about, oh, there was this hack of this, there was this hack of that, and this company, they lost money. And the tendency is just to say, this tech company, they don't know what they're doing. Or no. Is to be able to look at it differently is that if they all have this problem, this is my opportunity to solve the problem. Yeah, and it's to look at it that way, to say, how are they looking at it? And if you can solve it effectively, they will pay you your money's worth. Also, is that information like never before is abundant. It's the insights, it's the uncommon knowledge. And in terms of your question was, oh, what should people go into? I would say almost anything and almost everything, but the operative word is almost. It's about being in the correct forest. I'll say this, and I say this with a lot of respect. There are some industries that is hard to make money. One, teaching. It's teaching in the way that we know it, which is you're teaching in a primary school, you're teaching in a secondary school. It's fundamentally hard to scale, to find a productive edge. You are limited in the number of hours that you can teach physically, to prepare, to do the marking. There are some industry that is hard to make money. There are some industries that is a bit much more easier to make money. So if you are sort of just starting out your career, you want to choose industries, look and kind of just study that what are the entry incomes. For example, investment banking in almost any of the top big companies in Nigeria or abroad, across the world, investment banking generally tends to pay a bit more. Engineering pays up to a particular point, and after that it caps, because an engineer suffer it a lot. Because oftentimes they think like engineers, they never snap into the business that you're an engineer, you are inside the business. Unless you can scale, and thank God for the likes of FLS that's able to move ahead of us, to be able to say he needed to switch from joining cable with cable and RJ45 to RJ11 to be able to say, wait, hold on, this is a business. We're solving somebody's problem. The person, frankly, does not care about which Cisco switch we used. He just wants to browse. That's pretty much it. So whether you use big switch, small, he doesn't, and they frankly doesn't care. But some of us engineers, again, both of us shared background of engineering, and very many of us struggle with that. So all my engineers out there, switch into the business. That's how your career mid-level will not truncate and you stop. You need to be able to understand, and wherever business that you are, be able to think like the CEO. That's why I would say, whatever business you are right now, think like the CEO. That what matters to the CEO: sales, increase revenue, reduce cost. Two key things. Because really, it's about the profit that he can distribute to you, the employees, and to the shareholders, and to pay back loans. But it's really down to heart. That whatever you are doing, you are able to carry the heart and become a Joseph to whom the Potiphar can commit everything else except for his wife and the food he eats, that he can basically outsource it to you. You are able to grow, and by the time that you are moving on, you will be thoroughly missed because you are thinking like him. You've been able to sort of really soaked into him, that like, what do you call it, like Jesus, that he says, my father and I are one. If I said it, the father is the one saying it. If the father is saying it, that's exactly what you need to be. In quote, you need to be, as an employee within an organization, to be so much in the mind of the CEO. In fact, maybe even better than the CEO, to be able to just think deeply, rationally. How can we improve this business? And building the relationships across. It's not really, I'm going to be king, I'll just crush everybody in between. To be able to build those relationships as you go along, because you need everybody else to support you. So whatever you do, do it with excellence. Even the president today has a barber. Just think about it. Yeah, even that his unique thread, that style that he has for his cap, there's somebody doing it. And well, a lot of people who also love him now have to copy that style. So he's doing it for a lot more people than the one person he used to do it for.
Thank you. Sorry, Blessing, before you go, I just want to add one more thing to what Dilly said, and I think is key, just segueing from what he said. And that is for us, especially as engineers, anybody generally, really, please never go into a business where at best you are a peripheral person. I've heard some people say, oh, you have support, you have core. If you're a banker, somebody is a IT, so he's a support engineer. Meanwhile, the bankers are the core. Wherever you are, please, you can start as peripheral or support. Don't end there. And the way to do that is whether they are killing you with work or not, find time to understand what the business is. If you are going to spend any time at all, please understand what the business. I'm not talking about, oh, we do banking. What is banking? How are they making money? Speak the language so that moving forward, you don't truncate your growth. Don't be too good at what you do that you become useless. Any project, any whatever you are in, please find your way to the core. You may have started from the outside. Please, by all means, find your way. If you must crawl, crawl. If you must beg, beg. If you must read, read. Find your way to the core. And now when I say to the core, people are not saying leave engineering and go into banking. But you can still be the engineer, and they will call you to the table every single time. Why? When there's a problem outside, for example, there's this new tax law coming now, right? When they have a problem, you will go as an IT person, you say, you know what, this tax issue, I've read it, this and this and this are the effect. We can use IT to do this and all that. You would always be at the table. The most important thing is never be found outside in the rain when people are eating chicken at the table. And the way to do that is to ensure you find your way to the core. It's extremely important, please. Don't be outside. Thank you.
Wow, wow. You know what FLS just said now is just the summary of everything that both FLS and FDI have shared on what career professionals can do. Literally, what you need to do is to understand the business that you're working for. Once you understand the business that you're working for, you can understand the pain points, the main problems of the business, and how you can provide solution from the skills that you have, period. You must understand the business, you must understand finance, you must understand how do you want to understand data analysis if you do not understand the business? Is when you understand the business that you know, okay, this is the way that data analysis can work for this business. Is when you understand the business that you know the problems in finance and how you can solve it with your skills. And so, I think that this is a very, very good way to close out this conversation. It is important that we find ourselves in the core. That was what Joseph did. That was what Daniel did. He was part of the guys. He was not an extraordinary guy in that sense, but he found his way to the core, literally, by the help of the Holy Spirit. Every time there was a problem, he was always available to provide a solution, even though he didn't know the solution. He just wanted to show up and be there to provide the solution. So, literally, I feel like this is a very, very great way to end this conversation. I would give both FDI and FLS 2 minutes each to give us their closing remarks so that we can close it out and we can take questions. Over to you, FDI.
Okay, all right. Again, it's a lot of conversation. By the way, I was taking notes also. So yeah, because it's a lot of good comments. But really down to it, my closing remark would be the story of the wise and the foolish. The story of the wise man and the foolish man. It's not so much about listening to a powerful conversation, it's about what you do with it. You've listened to this, you've listened to all the conversations. I trust that God has spoken to you. Is write out your action plan. What are you changing? Think multi-year. FLA just mentioned get to the core. You may not be able to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I'm heading for the core. Okay, all right, good. It might be a multi-year plan. Be patient, but start working on it. The journey to get there starts today, tomorrow, if not, the journey to get there starts tomorrow. But you need to begin to take specific actions towards working yourself to the core. I'll share a testimony about what he just talked about being core. Is that there was a part of our business that we started and we reflected on it. This was about 1.5 years ago, about 2 years ago, that what we were selling was non-core to the business. We said, no, let's move. We wanted to move to a place that became core, and we saw significant progress. We needed to be core. So even if what you are selling also is non-core, for those who are in businesses, if what you are selling is ice cream, they will easily cut you off. They will easily cut you off when, what do you call it, when things are hard. But if what you are selling is salt, you are not going anywhere.
I think Blessing's screen is frozen. Okay, I think she's out of call. Yeah. Maybe we just take a few final thoughts while we wait for Blessing to come back. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My final thought is basically get direction. Speed is easier when you get direction. You know, the beauty of being Christians, and I think we all need to delve into this thing we believe. Believe me, I don't know. I just think this thing we profess, or this lifestyle we profess, there's so much in it that, you know, we need to just lean into it a bit more. Forget all the buzz. Forget all the niceties. Forget all the titles, brother, sister. There's a relationship we have with the Father, the owner of the entire universe, that I don't think we are using, or we're not delving deep enough. We want to do it the way of the world and get the result of heaven. You know, I just think that if we can take a pause and just try it for 1 year. If it doesn't work for you, go back to the analysis and whatever. But if you can delve into sitting, and I'm not talking about fasting, praying, please. There's a relationship you need to build and say from a thirsty heart, Lord, I want to test you this 2025 in terms of direction. Grant me that, and the God we serve still answers. I'm not asking you to pray 21 days, or I'm not asking you to go fasting. I'm just seek direction. And some of us have turned prayer to one-way traffic, just shouting at God. No. A loving discussion between a father and a son, a father and a daughter. God, this is where I am. Can you grant me direction? Now, direction can be where you are, what you are doing, and it tells you, my daughter, still wait, I have your back. You know, when you have that direction, it's a lot easier to handle whatever you are going through. Whatever the economy throws at you, it's a lot easier to handle. I'm not saying it is easy, but it's easier. And I guarantee you, when you have direction, speed attends you, because you know what you need to do is clearer. So for me, what I will pray for everybody in this forum tonight is God to grant every one of us direction. Because if you move 1 kilometer an hour in the right direction, you are better than somebody doing 100 kilometers in the wrong direction. So my prayer is, God, grant us all direction this new year that will separate us from the world. That's the only thing I can. And the Spirit of God to be alive in us, enough to allow our Christianity make the mark beyond what the world is shouting about money and all that. Money is a product. It will come. But our relationship is what holds. I don't know how many of you have heard the story of he who has the son has everything. There's this man that has a son and a beggar at the gate. The son always passes by the beggar, and he made friend with the beggar. One day, he made a portrait of the son and gave it to the son, right? In front of the house, always begging. So the son took it and kept it and really liked it. But one day, the man stopped seeing the son coming out. That's the beggar, stopped seeing the son. And one day, he went there and he summoned courage to go to the house. I haven't seen this young man in a while. They let him in and they said that the son has died. And for a while, the father was grieving. I think at the end of the day, the father also died. And they were going to auction everything. He was a great art collector, fantastic guy. He had money to no end. But guess what? When the father died, there was going to be an auction. And when during the auction, there was a caveat. Everybody came with loads of money, blah, blah, blah. They want to buy all the art collections. And the first thing was, oh, sorry, the man put a caveat that before we sell any of the other things, he wants to sell this small portrait. Now, that small portrait was, you know, when a beggar draws something, it wasn't like the biggest art, but because that was one of the son's most treasured gift ever. When they started, the beggar was there. It was at the back, of course, it was a nobody. And when they said $1, going, nobody bought. But because he understood the picture of the whatever, he bought it. And immediately this says sold. The person doing the auction said, well, the auction is over. And it was like, there are millions of dollars or trillions of dollars worth of art, whatever here, that we're willing and ready to buy. They're very exotic arts. And the man, the auctioneer said, the father said, whoever gets the son gets everything. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the son. We have everything. And it's time for us to show the world what everything means next year. By the way, I'd like to say this in the open. I saw Professor Nino here. I shared some of my concerns with him last year, you know, on just towards the end of the year. And it was in the direction of these things, like he was talking to me as well, you know, around this direction and the son, you know, when you have God, like I told you towards the end of last year, when I retired and all that, we were having discussion. And I tell you, we have this God and he's so in love with us. Someone said, God loves you more than the devil hates you. And that ends everything for me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Saz. This has been a phenomenal, enlightening session. I'd like to take one or two questions. If we have, do we have any question from the audience? I'd like to take those now, so that we can round off very quickly. Hosts, do we have any questions?
None
No
sent to me.
questions. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, SARS. Thank you, FLS. Thank you, FDI. This has been very impactful. Thank you for sharing from your heart. We are blessed to have such a rich heritage of people, and, you know, just to be able to come, gather together and hear from you, share from your heart. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ECU alumni, for organizing this session. We have been tremendously blessed. Thank you. God bless you. I'll hand over back to the host. Thank you.
Thank you so.
May I crave indulgence, sir? Please, I've seen a lot of my orgas here that I haven't seen in a long time. Please permit me just pay homage and greet my orgas, please. I
Please
beg
go
you.
ahead, sir.
Please, I
Please go
see
ahead.
people I haven't seen in a long time. I'm so grateful. Shoga Bambo, wow, great to see you. Praise God. This is awesome. I see my Oga Okpe Olugasa. Wow, this is unbelievable. I see Professor Nino. Thank you, sir. I see, wow, I can't believe this. This is so great. I'm so grateful to see you all. My goodness. I saw somebody else now. Okay, thank you. When I see, I'll say, I'm so grateful. Wow, wow, wow. I see people I haven't seen in a long time. Thank you so much. I will feel you. My goodness. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Let me, yeah, Tokpe, yes. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the
Abumi, wow, awesome.
lecture. Auntie Bumi, are you ready for us?
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you so much. Am I audible, please?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, FLS, and thank you, FDI. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really don't know what to say, but to say thank you. I mean, those instructions were actually very, 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 very apt. Thank you so much. So just a few thoughts that I got. Of course, be more creative about the way you spend money in 2025. Diversify your risk base. Don't just do things anyhow. Listen, what is God saying? Do not save in depreciative currency. He said, FLS said his 2024 was created in 2015. Your own struggle should be a bit different, as Christians. And yeah, we need to listen to the instructions given by God, given by Abba, our Father. And yeah, in conclusion, he said it's not just about listening to all that was said, but what you do. So please, let's just do something before I go ahead to read the announcements. Let's do something about all that has been said. There are times you just find yourself jotting, and it ends there. But please, let's go back to it. Let's go back. Let's listen. Mide would send the recording, right? Please, let's listen. Let's play it until it becomes part of us. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for accepting to be panelist on this. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. All right, so for the announcements, we'd just like to wish everyone, right, the alumni family and everyone who joined us, not just people who were in ECU. Thank you so much, and compliments of the season. And to also remind every ECU member that Reunion 2025 is just 10 months away. So let's start preparing now to attend. I'm sure a lot of us enjoyed the last one that was held last year. So let's start planning. More details will be sent to our various platforms. For the Empowerment Center building project, need contributions, please. For those who were around last year, you see that a lot has been done, right, on the building, because the building is standing strong, but we still need some amount, right, to finish to complete the finishing, and quite a number of things left. As we said, please, no amount is little. Let's respond when we are called upon to, please. We'll send this to all the various platforms too. As I said, please, let's respond. We need to do this for ECU. They've started enjoying the building. They have their meetings there now, unlike before. And yeah, I know they are really, really happy, but we just need to conclude on it and know that we are fully done with the building. Thank you to everyone who has been part of this, and thank you to everyone who would still, join in this. From January, we would have an alumni yearly subscription. I think it was in before, but then I think it stopped after a while. So that would also be introduced from January 2025. Details will be shared. Let's also watch out for the alumni activities, programs in our different chapters and location. Please, let's also be very responsive. I'm sure we all enjoyed the session. I really did, right? And I'm going to listen to it, listen and digest everything that was said. Please, let's just stay together, right? Let's respond when we are reached or we are called upon, to do one thing or the other. I really want to say thank you again to Bolu, and I really want to say thank you again to FLS. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Mide, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. FLS, your book, I don't know, is it still in print? Can we still get it? Do you want to say one or two things about your book before we round up, sir?
Oh, thank you. Yes, the book is in print. It's titled Vacancy Urgently Needed. Basically, just saying that there's vacancy everywhere if you look hard enough. And the world is looking for you. It could be in a place of work, it could be in your environment, it could even be in your home, your wife, your husband. There's a vacancy there that if you look hard enough, you would find. And he who fills vacancies gets remunerated appropriately if you know how to appropriate the values. If you want to get the book, you can just reach out to me. I'm not actively promoting it again, except for in what do you call it, fora where people need the book. I realize that most people don't read as much as they should. So, and it wasn't written for the money. So those who need, if you reach out, I'll try to get across to you. But I'm not actively promoting it anymore as I was. Because thank you very much.
Okay, please, it's a very, very good book. Yeah, and especially for our younger alumni members here and outsiders too that are interested in enriching your career. I read it and I had to read it twice. Like I had to read it all over again. And that was 2016. And yeah, and I can still remember how impactful it was for me starting my career out then. So I'll greatly encourage us to get it. Um, Uncle Jide, can you just help us with the closing prayer so that we just wrap it up? Yeah. We'll send you an email with the recording, and on our respective WhatsApp group, we share the recording also. So we'll try to share it tonight. It'll take a while for Zoom to process the recording and all, but immediately it's done, it will be shared with us immediately on WhatsApp groups. Then maybe tomorrow morning we send an email sharing everything with everybody that registered with us. So Uncle Jide, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Ayomide, moderator. Blessing, thank you so much. And to our panelists, Bro Folorunso Ali, we are deeply, deeply grateful. And also Bro Folu Ijabulu, we are deeply grateful. Thank you for the session. It's been awesome. It's been inspiring. It's been an impactful one. And we're going to take things forward. All that you mentioned, all you said, we take them forward by God's grace. We will also be cascading a lot into our different chapters and also the different generational groups, trusting God fully that indeed we all make predictable progress and will pivot forward in the year 2025. Thank you so much. A quick word of prayer. Father, we thank you and we bless you because indeed you have been faithful to us, faithful to the household of ECU. Thank you for the years gone by. Thank you for the year 2024. And we also give you appreciation for what you are going to do for us in the year 2025. Say, receive all the praise and all the glory in the mighty name of Jesus. Lord, we ask, oh God, that all the gleanings and lessons we've taken from this session, as we apply them, oh God, in our different lives, in our different businesses, in our different families and careers, that Lord, indeed, it should be a prosperous and a glorious year for us in 2025. In the mighty name of Jesus. Doors will be open, nations will open in the mighty name of Jesus. And by the end of it all the praise and all the glory will down back to your holy name. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. Thank you so much, everyone, and God bless.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.